Hi, guys. It is Friday, April 10th, 2020, and it is Palm Sunday. So I hope you're staying home and I hope you're enjoying your family. I hope you're enjoying this time off. Okay. In addition, when you see the emails and stuff that we sent, and then you'll know that the Google Classroom is available and you can go ahead and access the videos. We are to have 30-minute videos each day. Behind me is our editing, is the dictionary, and is the Works Cited page, and underneath that is our story that we have been writing, and we're going to continue to edit. But today, since it's Palm Sunday, I decided to go ahead and read you 3 storybooks instead. And I like Summertime in the Big Woods, and you're going to listen for organization, listen for ideas and conventions. Okay. Now remember, we're going into fluency. We've already done voice and word choice, and we had organization. We had 5 of the traits on this sheet yesterday when we went ahead and did it, and we started with transition words. But I thought today it would be just nice to have a story time and have read alouds, so that way you can listen for organization, listen for the ideas in the Summertime in the Big Woods, and conventions. Remember, these are storybooks. These are picture books. This is by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Illustrations for my First Little House books are inspired by Garth Williams. Yes, you get to see the pictures too. Okay. Once Upon a Time. Let's see if I can get this so we can do both of them. Once upon a time, a girl named Laura lived in the big woods of Wisconsin in a little house made of logs. She lived in the little house with her pa, her ma, her big sister Mary, her little sister Carrie, and their good old bulldog Jack. It was summertime in the big woods, and the whole family was very busy. Pa worked hard all day long in the fields. Laura and Mary helped Ma weed the garden. They helped her feed the calves and the hens. They helped her gather the eggs. That was their job. Summer was also the time for visitors. When company came to visit, Ma would do extra cleaning and cooking, and there would be new children for Laura and Mary to play with, climbing in the tree, taking walks in the forest. And the forest is so nice. If you've never been, it's so quiet. Even though there's lots of trees and everything, you can hear a pin drop, you can hear the birds sing. Sometimes you hear nothing. It's great. Sometimes Ma let Laura and Mary go visiting by themselves. They would walk across the road and up the hill to visit Mrs. Peterson. You hear the story, you hear the organization, you hear the ideas. The ideas are telling the story, just like I asked you guys to write down in your journals and to tell a story and to tell what you're experiencing during this time. And every day you could write your story. And your story, and this is what they did here, they actually wrote a diary or kept a journal and wrote down their ideas, and it turns into a storybook picture book. Mrs. Peterson's house was always very neat because she had no little girls to muss it up. She always gave Laura and Mary a cookie when they left, and they nibbled the cookies very slowly while they walked home to make them last longer because they were so deliciously good. Homemade is always better than store-bought. Always. Laura nibbled away exactly half of her cookie, and Mary nibbled away exactly half of her cookie. They saved the other halves to give to baby Carrie when they got home. When the summer grass was tall and thick in the woods and the cows were giving plenty of milk, that was the time for Ma to make cheese. We made cheese before, it's fun. In Wisconsin, they have cheesemakers, and they make it out of raw milk. Don't drink the raw milk of cows if you're not used to it. It'll make you deathly sick. FYI. Laura and Mary were always there when Ma made the cheese, helping all they could. They loved to eat bits of cheese curd. It squeaked in their teeth. Cheese curd is what you draw off the top of it. That's what she's taking off there, is the cheese curd. And cheese curds that you've actually bought before in the store, or you see in the grocery store, and those little squiggly ones and everything, and they squeak between your teeth when you eat them. They're really good. It's delicious. One day, Pa came home at noon with a surprise. He had found a bee tree. The wagon was filled with buckets and pails, all heaping full of dripping golden honeycomb. Real raw honey, which is delicious. And do you know honey keeps forever? And if it gets really, it solidifies or gets hard or anything to where it doesn't pour anymore, you put it in the microwave, heat it up, and it starts running again, and it's fine. It never goes bad. For dinner, they all had as much of the delicious honey as they could eat, and Pa told them about the bee tree. But you have to make sure that it's real raw honey. You can't have any preservatives in it. Some of the companies are putting preservatives in it. It's not real honey. Okay. He told them that the whole tree was hollow and filled with, from top to bottom, with honey. Laura felt sorry for the bees, but Pa told her there were lots of honey left for them. There's the big old tree, hollow, which is bees inside. After dinner, Ma washed the dishes and Laura and Mary helped. The dishes made little cheerful sounds as Laura and Mary wiped them. The windows were wide open to the warm summer night. Very small house, very, very small. Soon Laura and Mary were tucked in their beds, listening to Paul whistling softly to himself. It had been another happy summer day in the little house in the big woods. And I don't know if you can see them. You can see the little fireflies. And they don't have those down here in Florida. I haven't seen them, the fireflies, but they're actually little bugs that light up at the back end of their tail and stuff. And I didn't see them where I lived in the other place either. And I was out in the woods more, in the country a little bit more. But fireflies, their whole back end lights up. And so you have all these little lights that are blinking in the trees at night. And they come out just at dusk. And then they go to sleep. And so after a certain time, you won't see the fireflies anymore. Okay. This book was exactly $1 at Goodwill. So you can get tons of picture books that will focus. Remember, this one was on organization, ideas, and conventions. So it's the punctuation at the end of the sentences. It is how do you put your punctuation in. You have to do it a certain way of MLA style where your sentences are making sense. This book I love is Hello, Harvest Moon, and it's a fall book that I usually read. However, this is fluency. It can be word choice as well, but I really like it for fluency by Ralph Fletcher. When you come back on Monday, then we're going to go ahead and start editing our story and start putting the editing marks in for fluency and do transition words and do transition sentences then as well, okay? For my sisters, Elaine, Kathy, Carolyn, who heard Mom sing the moon song when they were little girls, RF, in memory of Jasper, who came and left near the Harvest Moon, KK. So when you're doing your journals, and if they turn into a book or a picture book or anything, then you can dedicate it to certain people and dedicate it. I've had people and students dedicate their writings to grandparents and to moms and to uncles and aunts or someone who's already passed away. And in their memory. So that way then it'll keep their memory alive constantly for the rest of their lives or forever, which is really nice. So this is all about Midwest too. This is the farm that I was not too far away from the house I used to live at in the Midwest when I was there in Illinois, Wisconsin. The crops have been gathered. The pumpkins have been picked. The silos are filled to bursting with 1,000,000 ears of corn. Tired farmers are fast asleep. There's punctuation at the end of each of those sentences, which is why I sit and pause, and then I go to the next one. But something is stirring at the edge of the wood. I didn't pause because there was no punctuation there, but there is at the end of the wood. So, but something is stirring at the edge of the world. Excuse me, I said wood, world. Something is rising low in the trees. So I keep reading, I pause briefly, but then I read the next line. And then I pause an extra amount of time at the end of the punctuation here. And that's a reading strategy that you learn when you're doing your fluency reading and you're going from one line or to the next or from one page to the next. You want to read out loud as fluent as you possibly can, and it takes practice. You have to practice to do that, and this is the best way to do it is to read picture books to your younger brother and sister or just read picture books out loud, and it helps with that fluency. It comes up round, ripe, and huge over autumn fields of corn and wheat. Hello, Harvest Moon. Hello, Harvest Moon. Comma is there, so you pause, and Harvest Moon, and then there's a period. With silent slippers, it climbs the night stairs, comma, lifting free of the treetops to start working its magic, comma, but no comma on the above one, staining earth and sky with a ghostly glow. And it is. It has a ghostly glow, and there's a big round moon. And the moon does look that big at times in the Midwest, too, which is neat. So fluency is bound in this entire book, which actually tells us, the punctuation tells us if we stop and start, if we flow, how fast we're going, how slow we're going, and how we must read it, because there's no one here to tell us. The author's not here to tell us. So we have to go by the punctuation and the sentences. So when you're writing and you have sentences that flow or sentences that don't flow, like we had yesterday, and I have don't flow on that one. It says it means life, survival as cats are similar to human development. It didn't really flow. And we're going to fix that on Monday. We're going to go back through and find out what works for that. The punctuation is what's telling you. Semicolons are that punctuation, or maybe you need to separate it into a separate sentence. So, harvest moonlight brushes your face, comma, makes you stir and blink, wake and wonder, comma, wake and wonder. You have a conjunction there, and then wonder is a comma there. And then you have dialogue. Who left that outside light on? And then you have the punctuation inside the quotation, and then you have your end quotation. What radiance is streaming into your room, exclamation point. It is so bright you can read your favorite book without even turning on the lamp. And it does. It gets that bright where sometimes you have to pull the shade, and because the moon comes in and it keeps you awake all night long. Outside, the yards and streets seem to be covered by a sparkling tablecloth, and that's the glow of the moon, is how they've actually tried to paint it here, and you can see the light and then the dark. And then her face is lit up, and then the back side of her is all dark. That's the light, okay? Outside, the yards and streets seem to be covered by a sparkling tablecloth. Birch trees shine as if they have been double dipped in the moonlight. If you're lucky, you might spy a few large luna moths performing their ballet in the crisp, cool air. A luna moth is green, it's the size of your hand, and it flutters at night like this when the moonlight is out, and that is when they go ahead and mate, and then they have little ones and stuff. But they are literally this big, and they will follow the moonlight, and they follow the moonlight along on the trees. They'll land on a tree, they'll land in the bushes, but they actually are alive when there's a full moon, which is kind of cool. A garden spider builds her web, hoping to catch an insect drawn to the great lamp in the sky. And the great lamp in the sky is the moon. And these are the spiders, spider web. Milkweed pod, I'm sorry, the spider web is here. These are milkweed pods, have cracked open, spilling out spores like tiny moonlings floating up to their mother. And then they, like this, and then they float up, which is really, milkweed is really, it has a certain smell to it. Butterflies like it, and milkweed is becoming extinct. So a lot of times what I did is in my yard, or the yards that I owned, I went ahead and I would plant milkweed in my yard, and I would have a big bush like this, and then you would see all these little seeds floating up and floating away, and they would float into other yards or whatever, and then land and then start another milkweed. But it's really, they really do look like that, and they really do float away, which is really cool. Especially in the moonlight, it's beautiful. If you played a nocturnal game of hide and seek and hid behind that huge pine tree, you would be almost invisible. Like right here, see, you can't see. Cloaked in moon shadow, and that's what the cat is doing, is hiding behind. But then this cat is out in the moonlight, and literally you cannot see someone behind on the dark side of a tree. It's really fun. We used to play flashlight tag all the time and literally use the shadows like this, and then you would shine your flashlight on someone just like that instantaneously, and it would startle them, but it was so much fun. It was great, especially during moonlight. Now it's bedtime, but not for everyone. Overhead, a lone pilot is wide awake, looking down, muttering to herself, with all this moonshine, it's like flying in broad daylight. And it is. It's that light out. It's huge. It's gigantically light out. A night watchman gets out of his bed, pulling on his boots, filling his thermos. He always packs his flashlight, though he wonders if he'll need it, going to work on a night like this. Because you can see everything, but he needs the flashlight for the shadows because you can't see. The harvest moon has its own work to do. It paints the wings of owls and nighthawks with a mixture of silver and shadow. It speaks to the moonflower, now, now, and sweet white blossoms unfold, though only night creatures will see them. Pretty cool. It whispers to geese, away, away, and they become restless to start the long flight south. Not all geese fly south, by the way. Some geese stay down here. Some geese stay up north, so even through the winter. Baby turtles emerge from eggs tucked beneath the blanket of sand where their mother left them 2 months ago. They make a mad dash to the ocean. Do you know that the rare turtle went ahead when everybody is doing this and is in isolation? And everyone basically is not on the beach or anything. And the rare turtles actually went ahead and the mamas went onto the beach somewhere. I forget where it is. I'll have to look it up and see and then share it with you. And they actually laid all their eggs because there's nobody on the beach. So nobody's interfering with them, which is cool. The harvest moon moves the earth's waters, grabbing whole oceans with its arms. It pulls in the high tide that will lift all the boats, every rowboat and yacht tied snug on the dock. It floods the clam flats with lonely lunar light, setting off an eruption of bubbles from clams and crabs tucked in mud. There it is. It floods us with dreams and memories of every full moon we have ever seen. It connects us to our distant ancestors who prayed to the harvest moon, yet feared it might be a god's one unblinking eye. Finally, it starts to ease lower, sprinkling silver coins like a careless millionaire over ponds, lakes, seas, till all the money is spent. When you wake up, look to the western horizon and you might catch the moonset, a sleepy head, winking, falling, slow motion onto its pillow. When it's like this, cascading down, you can start by reading it the same fluency level that you usually do, but then you need to slow it down so that you get the impact of each word. Each word is placed there meticulously and placed there organizationally because they planned it that way. This is a plan from the author, just like we're planning our writing, which is very simplistic like this as well. And then they say, good night, harvest moon, good night. And you can see it especially well out on a farm, and there's the geese flying through the harvest moon. Scarecrows. You don't see much of these. You do if you go out, Callahan and that and more west, Baldwin area, towards Lake, I guess, and stuff here in Florida. But in the Midwest, you see these all over the place. There's miles and miles of cornfields like this. You look out your back window and you see this all the time. So you're constantly saying things like this, which is neat. It's quite different than here in Florida, where you don't see that. So word choice. Fluency. I like goal because goal has word choice and fluency in it. It's a fast-paced book, and you might ask me, well, why am I reading picture books to you? Because everybody likes to get read to. I don't care if you're old or you're young, that everybody, if they were honest about it, at some time you would really like and enjoy someone just reading to you for a change instead of you having to read it or think about it all the time. And that's why I thought this Palm Sunday would be perfect, that it would brighten your weekend and brighten your week. And since we're all pretty much like isolated and we have to stay at home, and I hope you're following those rules. And so that way, this is like a nice little treat. So goal. Robert Burleigh is the author to this one. And it starts with home and visitors. And up in the box here is the dialogue. Score tied, muscles tense, ball drops, After it, quick. So it's not complete sentences at all, but the word choice is placed purposely to get your attention because now you know home and visitors. There's a game going on. Score is tied. Muscles are tense. Ball drops. You could put a gasp in there. After it, quick. They go after the ball quickly. Soccer. White spin and swirl. Feet like fins. In dark green water. Their ball. Get back. You already know what's happening. You already know what's going on. River wide field. Flail of knees. Splash of many legs. Hold your position. Defense. Tells the story without saying a lot of words. It's almost like a text message in the story, but yet you know exactly what's going on. And you know the amount of energy that these kids are putting towards getting that ball because soccer is very intense, just like football, just like baseball would be. Players backpedaling, digging heels, explosions of gouged grass, mark tight, guard the line. And there's the guard. And yes, this is actually drawn, and this is chalk that you see. That's why, I don't know if you can see it on the page, but they took a picture of it. And it's actually a chalk drawing, so you can actually see the canvas here, which is really cool. That's the part I really like. These are actually sketches of the game that were actually played. Crisscross, flick, and toe tap quicker than fingers opening. My side, mine. Has me wonder that a lot of you guys are really good at texting. A lot of you guys are really good at emailing back and forth or texting back and forth, and you could actually do a picture book on the texting. That would be perfect. It would. Chip pass unspooling, boom off laces, high as never come down, watch their scorer. Way up in the air. Do they kick it? Watch the scorer. Here he comes. Corner kick, curled and rising, a pale rainbow. Goaltender's cat-like leap, great save, clear it. Great save, clear it. 1 minute left. Last second charge. All wheeling as one? Now. Make it happen. Upfield, many-eyed, alert to near and far. Push forward, offense. Again, word choice is prevalent. Pick and choosing certain words to actually tell the story to make the impact high. And then the pictures are complementing the story. Zigzag, scrawl, and leggy Z's on midair. Here, through. Every page was planned. Give and go, spinning inside, near and near. I want it. And here you can kind of see the canvas again that's been drawn on, which is really cool. Being an artist, I love this book, so it's like I can relate to it. Needles eye chink in a wall of wild bodies. The far post, launch it, strike. Blur of whiteness past goalie's single blink. Suddenly vibrating net. See, it is it. Whoop. See, is it. There we go. But again, you can see the chalk drawing. There goes past the goal. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it. It blurs for a reason, but it's chalk. This book isn't, but it's a picture of chalk drawing. It's really cool. Leap for the sky, arms upraised. Delirious dance, we did it. And you always see this at the games and stuff. All the other kids are jumping for joy. Goal. And I don't know if you ever played in the game or anything. We used to do this in volleyball all the time when I was coaching volleyball. And it was like, yeah. And we would always do this too at the very end, get together and do a group hug stuff. So that way team members knew we were supporting each other, which is really cool. You, me, us, champions. And I like it because they have a black page here. So it actually moves your eye to what, not a person, but the soccer ball, the net and the soccer ball, which is here, which tells you that they won. It's like, yes, which is great. Perfect. So I have 5 minutes left and 5 minutes left to actually voice the day the crayons quit, but it also has fluency in it. And I want to go ahead and reread that because the fluency is nice along with the punctuation that it has in here. One day in class, Duncan went to take out his crayons and found a stack of letters with his name on them. Remember, this is how it starts. So you could start the same thing with your diary or with your journal writing. And then while you're doing it, telling each and every day how your day progresses. How many days have we been off school? You could have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. A lot of authors and a lot of novels do that, not just picture books, and that actually turns into a series or actually turns into something that other people would want to buy and actually know, what did you do during COVID? What did you do during this time off? What were the things that made you focus on, or your deep thoughts? Just like I'm sharing my deep thoughts with you about reading. And reading is so very important. Punctuation is so important. And this is all traits. This is all organization and fluency and word choice. It's so important, as simplistic as a picture book, but it really lets you understand the importance of every word on the page, every sentence on the page, your planned punctuation, your planned paragraph, your planned essay. The same thing you do in math, you do it in writing, and you do it in reading. And it all matches. It all builds your brick wall to make your education flow. That brick wall and all that information that you learn is built upon itself. So that way then you see A papers, you see B papers, you see those earned grades that you love so well. Hey Duncan, it's me, Red Crayon. We need to talk. You make me work harder than any of your other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring fire engines, apples, strawberries, and everything else that's red. I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas at Christmas and all the day hearts and Valentine's Day. I need a rest. You're overworked, friend Red Crayon. Dear Duncan, all right, listen, I love that I'm your favorite crayon for grapes and dragons and wizards hats, and it makes me crazy that so much of my gorgeous color goes outside the lines. If you don't start coloring inside the lines soon, I'm going to completely lose it. Your very neat friend, Purple Crayon. Dear Duncan, I'm tired of being called light brown or dark tan because I'm neither. I'm beige. Beige, I tell you, I am proud. I'm also tired of being second place to Mr. Brown Crayon. It's not fair that Brown gets all the bears and ponies and puppies, while the only things I get are turkey dinners, if I'm lucky, and wheat. And let's be honest, when was the last time you saw a kid excited about coloring wheat? Your beige friend, Beige Crayon. Duncan, Gray Crayon here. You're killing me. I know you love elephants, and I know that elephants are gray, and that's a lot of space to color in all by myself. And don't even get me started on your rhinos, hippos, and humpback whales. You know how tired I am after handling one of those things, such big animals. Baby penguins are gray, you know. So are very tiny rocks and pebbles. How about one of those once in a while to give me a break? The little teeny rocks and pebbles down here. Your very tired friend, Gray Crayon. White cat. And I bet you remember White Cat because he colors it white, even though he's on a white paper. We end there. Have a really good Palm Sunday. I'll see you guys on Monday. Take care.